god.
I'm not recording.
You're not recording?
I'm now recording.
You're now recording. Never
Yes.
mind. Okay, let me make sure the stream's working okay. Still says offline.
It's okay. They'll let you know.
If it's not working.
Adventure excitement. Hey Ash Podcast.
Okay, we should probably do like an intro or something.
Yes.
Right. That's what people do on podcasts, right?
Right.
Professional.
But your
people.
name's in the podcast, so that means you should probably just start with the intro stuff.
Oh, I hate it. Why am I the person?
You the star of the show.
Why am I the star of the show? Should be Anthony Burch all day, every day. The stream is live with good audio, video. Great. Oh, ballsack. You know what? It's probably gonna fuck up like it always does. We'll deal with that when that happens. So we're here with Team Meat. Tommy and Edmund are here with us on Keepin It Real, and we're fucking keeping it real, presumably. And before this happened, Edmund sent us some really adorable videos of he and his wife doing sock puppets on an iPad app. I'm really jealous I don't have.
The app's awesome. I was just playing around with it with Davis. We didn't upload anything to YouTube yet, but it's fucking funny as shit. It immediately makes your voice funny just by pitching it weirdly, and you can, like, on the fly change the shape and size of everything. Well, not the shape, but the size of stuff, so you can just make yourself get gradually larger as you scream. It's awesome.
It's good. It's good stuff. One thing that I've noticed that even though it changes your voice, I can't help but do a voice.
No, I do the same thing,
Yeah.
It feels wrong to, like, have a little sock puppet there and then just be like, hey, what's up? I'm a sock puppet. It makes you feel like a dick.
Tommy, it's late to the game here with you got to download this app, Tommy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you and Shannon will love it. You just take control over these little sock puppets, and then when you talk, they talk, and it records it and then alters the voice, and it's good.
This is going to be the most racially...
Yeah. You ever?
If these recordings get out, I'll be ruined.
So, how are things? Like, the first, I guess the only time I ever met you guys was before Super Meat Boy had come out. And, like, as an outsider who had played a little bit of it, I think at the IGF or something like that, I was like, oh my god, this game's going to be a really big deal. It's going to be awesome. But you guys, because you made the game, were, like, just visibly terrified and stressed out and stuff like that. And, like, anybody who's watching any in the movie knows that, you know, there's clearly a lot of, you know, feelings and stuff. Like, does it feel, now that it's out in the world, you know, you're a known quantity, essentially, you can just post really vague pictures about your next game and get people excited just on that? Like, do you feel powerful, or do you feel, like, still terrified by everything?
We're just confused. We're not even trying to be vague with our updates. This is all, like, we think we're doing a great job here, but we're failing miserably. If I remember correctly, didn't we met you at the Destructoid party, you and your wife? That was like the day after we lost the IGF, wasn't it?
I think it was the day...
Oh, really?
The day after or the day before?
Well,
I believe it was the day before.
What'd you say?
You had no beard. Wait, no, I can't remember now.
No, you had a beard.
If I had a beard, then it was before we lost. Because then it turned out that lucky beard was actually a cursed beard.
And you got rid of it immediately?
Yeah.
Andy Schatz's first stat beard.
Andy Schatz married his. Whoa! Whoa! Yeah.
We're going there today.
That was a damn good joke.
It was a good
That
joke.
was a fine joke.
Andy Schatz felt that shit.
I'm sitting back and I'm just letting it sink in. I'm like savoring it like a iced tea on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
That painted a picture.
Yeah, I know.
That's really nice.
I don't know why, but when I see you drinking iced tea on an afternoon, I imagine you as like a slave owner. I don't know why that image.
Yes. You see Tommy and Django?
Yeah, no, I just imagine you look like Don Johnson from Django Unchained. Like basically
I
Colonel
have an
Sanders.
air of plantation owner. I understand.
That's the first thing I saw when I saw Tommy.
Well, now.
That guy's gonna that guy's game is gonna be a success, and he probably owns some people.
I do own a few slaves. I'm gonna say it's a little fucked up, but you don't know how nice it is to have slaves until you have them.
I've been recording and I have a timer, so we hit slavery jokes before the 5-minute mark. It didn't even take us 5 minutes.
Record?
I think that's a record.
Nice.
We usually try to hold off until like we've gotten people into it, you know, like 20
I like
minutes
to be number
in.
one on leaderboards.
Oh man, I can't get that image out of my head anymore. I'm just gonna continue this podcast as if you are a slave owner. We're just gonna talk.
That's fine.
That's how I'm gonna conduct this.
Slave owner anyway. They all hate me.
Yeah,
He
it's
said Halo
just
sucks and he owns slaves. Get him.
Kill him.
So yeah, I don't fucking know. What do you guys want to talk about?
Even answer the initial question. It was because I just broke off onto like memories of
Oh yeah,
traumatic experience because it was like because I remembered the IGF and it was all a blur, and then I remembered how much that sucked, and then I remembered that I'm a judge now and how much I hate it and how I'll never be involved in anything IGF related ever again.
Really? Why's that?
It sucks. Like it's such like it's one of those things where it's such a ball of layered suckage that it's just I can't. It's hard to even like jump into. There's just so many reasons why judging art doesn't work, and
Right.
the more time that passes, the more I really realize how it doesn't work ever and never will work. Like it's just never going to work, and everybody's always got their own agendas. And then
Sure, yeah.
it's kind of interesting because like, so my first IGF was in 2003, and I've entered something in the IGF or been a judge every single year since. So I've seen this like wave, and things change over time, and it's kind of this bizarre thing where I think everybody involved wants the IGF to go one direction or the other, and it started out where back in the day, the first controversial game to enter was this game called Savage, which was the first $1 million game that was entered in the IGF.
Wow.
And it was indies were like, we fucking hate them because they have money and it's unfair.
Right.
And the second time was Gish versus Alien Hominid, and it was kind of like the underdog won in that situation. Time passed, and as things kind of like leveled out, like I think over time, once indies had the ability to like make money off of their games and actually compete with the mainstream, and we're obviously doing a really good job about it, things kind of leveled out, and I think the IGF kind of turned a bit. And it's what started out kind of as almost like a scholarship situation where if your game was already out or well known or had a huge budget, you were penalized in a way. And it kind of leveled
Sure.
out to like everybody's kind of on a leveled playing field, and Minecraft and Fez, that situation. And it seems like the popular games, it was just more given to like, it was like an Oscar situation where like the best game won, in quotes, best game, whatever.
Right.
And this year is just it's a backlash year where it's the opposite. Where if your game, like none of the games in the IGF in the finals this year are like these crazy blockbuster games. Like there's nothing controversial about any of the big games in the IGF this year. But it's like people just aren't happy. These people, I have no idea who they are. A lot of the judges are just like writers or I don't know what, and they all have very strong opinions that go against the perceived grain of
Right.
like not wanting games that are finished and have come out and are successful to win at all. It's just like hate, and it's
Right.
really disturbing and weird. And it's personal to me. And Tommy's heard me rattle on about this for forever, and we go back and forth. Tommy was over it last year. Tommy,
I was done last year.
So, but for me, I had this thing in me where I'm like, I don't want to be this pessimist who just says it's hopeless, it sucks, and I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to be a judge. I don't want to do anything. But the thing is every year I'm a judge, and every year I come off with this feeling of just like I don't belong here. Like I'm just a feeling of not belonging at all, and they're not. It's just arguments and opinions on opinions, and there's nobody's actually going by these rules that are set in place. They're just going by their own personal rule set, where they think that it's quite literally there's arguments that are literally, hey, this person needs help, and I think letting them win will help, even though they like directly say this game is better than this other game, but this game needs some help. Let's make them win. And it's just like, oh my god, like there's so much wrong with that, and it's just so fucked up because not only does it fuck up the winner, it fucks up the loser. Like it's this horrible thing, and then it's just like, why even like if we're at this point now, why even enter a game if you've released it and it's done well? Don't enter. You're not going to win. Because whatever agenda they choose is going to choose your fate. And it's just, you're dealing with people. You're dealing with humans who have their own personal agendas. And I mean, I can't say that I don't as well. I'm trying my hardest to go by the damn rule set, for each of the categories that I'm judging in. But like, I give up. I gave up this year. I couldn't be a part of it. I just take me off. Take me off this list. I don't want to hear your opinions anymore. Because every single opinion just makes me feel like the time I won, I didn't win. And the time I didn't win, I did.
Right.
It's just this horrible reminder, and it makes me feel like shit. It makes me feel horrible. And it can't not be personal for me, so I think I just need to just
remove yourself from it. Right.
Yeah, that's understandable.
How do you feel about it, Anthony? Because you've been a judge, but you also haven't submitted anything.
Right. Yeah. I generally just feel like I am ruining people's lives because I don't think I'm being a good judge. Because like ideally, because you get judged, you get a bunch of games assigned to you, and if you ever finish any of those games, you ever judge them, they give you more games, which is good in terms of like, oh wow, there's not going to be some people who don't have time to do more than like 2 games. So this guy who has a lot of free time and just spends his time playing fucking Fallout New Vegas all the time can do that. But psychologically, part of me was like, oh man, well I got to help as much as I can and review as many games as I can. And I tried to get to the point where like I would set a timer for myself and be like, I have to play this game for at least an hour, or at least hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever. And sometimes I just wouldn't. Sometimes I just straight up wouldn't because I would hate it so much immediately and not give it time. And it's like, yeah, you can argue that if a game is going to be good, it should be good immediately and draw you in and blah, blah, blah. But that's not the point of being a judge. The point of being a judge is to, like, have patience and work to find the good and be the champion of the art form and shit like that. But I'm just a shithead, so that doesn't happen. Like, sometimes there's probably a couple student games that have atrocious beginnings that have maybe amazing endings that I didn't rate too well because I was just rushing to get other shit done. And it kind of makes me feel like a dick and like I shouldn't do it. But the selfish part of me is like, I really like playing games before they're out, and these games are really interesting. And the ones that are really good, I'm glad to like go all in and go like, no, this game's super cool, and try to get Gone Home nominated and shit like that. But yeah, it mainly just makes me think that I'm just hurting people's lives.
It's hard to judge art.
Yeah.
It's not a good feeling. It doesn't work. Like there's just not even a remotely level playing field when it comes to a lot of things. Even like with graphics and stuff, it's just like
it is really easy to judge. Tech is incredibly easy to judge. However,
it's defined as the hardest.
Yeah, it's not.
Nobody knows what that means. Nobody knows what tech means.
No way, and that's what ruined it for me last year. Is like. I know last year Antichamber won, and that's great, whatever. I actually wanted either Fez or Spelunky to win, because they were both built from nothing, ground up, ridiculously polished, ran well, all of these things. And yes, Antichamber is very, very polished, but there's this one glaring huge thing. It runs off of Unreal 3. Like, how can you give an award for technical excellence to something that all of the heavy lifting is done? And I know he's done a lot of work with shaders and everything, but so did Fez, and so did Spelunky. And when I was trying to explain this to the other judges, I just felt like I was banging my head into a concrete wall, because it became a thing of ideals. It's like, well, should we be awarding the most like technically innovative, or no? It says technical excellence. It's the one that does tech the best. It's easy, and yeah, at that point, it just totally killed me. And then the argument back and forth with the grand prize last year, and then I was out. I'm totally done. And I don't have an IGF trophy, and I really wanted one until like 2 years ago, and now No, I don't, because I'll just buy my own. Just have one made with like a soccer guy on top, because fuck their little logo. I want the soccer guy, and maybe a
Put it in your
cheerleader up there
plantation.
too.
Yeah, just have one of your men take care of it.
Yeah.
I'll have one of my.
One of your slaves forge it
I'll have one of my boys
from their own tears.
Yeah.
Harden the tears. Make an ice sculpture
Harden
from
the
your
tears.
tears. If it
Make an
melts,
ice sculpture
I
from
will
your
whip you.
tears.
It is a shame though, because you don't. I remember a long time ago when I entered my first game in. It's like really exciting to get into the IGF, and it's like open, these giant doors of this new world kind of swing open to you, because you like look at the other games, and in the case the first game that I got in, that was the year of like World of Goo and stuff, and it's like, oh man, I get to go and I'm in a competition with these people, and I get to meet these people, and you don't ever want to lose that. You don't want that magic to go away, but it seems like it's kind of getting away. It's in a way it's sort of getting away from that, because if you constantly like misjudge, or if there's constantly controversy, or if people don't feel like what Ed was saying, like why would anybody that's made a successful game, like if the IGF this year and the next couple of years turn out that it's like these crazy no-name games that take forever to come out or never come out, and when they do, they're not popular and nobody can really relate to them, but they got these prizes based on this agenda that these people had, people are going to eventually start not caring about it, and then it just sort of ruins everything for everyone. I don't want to see that happen, but I feel like it is, and then you'll be like, oh great, I'm in the IGF, I get to go meet this guy that made this game where there's some blocks, but it's about his mom, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's very deep and meaningful. It's weird, and it's also weird too because I cringe at hearing myself complain about the IGF because I hate people complaining about it.
Yeah.
But I just, oh my god. That's another reason why I need to stop. I need to not be involved anymore because I don't want to be one of those people who just bitches about the IGF every year.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's what I was saying to you the other day is like we're not members of the club anymore. Like it's really like your opinions aren't very welcome in the IGF. I know mine weren't. Yours weren't this year. It's just.
Is it because you're outspoken or because you're successful?
I don't know. I don't know if it's one or the other. I think it's because we go against the grain in a way, and we the grain being, hey, let's help people, not let's shine lights on these amazing games. Mm-hmm. And to us, that is the correct choice for the IGF. But to other judges, that's not the correct choice for the IGF, and unfortunately, it seems like there are more judges that want to do that than there are that actually want to make it, more that want to make it a scholarship instead of an Oscars. And Ed and I don't need scholarships. There may have been a time when we did need scholarships, but we're not there anymore. So it seems hypocritical of us to judge something based on that if everybody else wants to judge something else. And we're trying to do the same thing that they're trying to do. We're trying to mold it into what we feel it should be, and that's wrong. Like, we can't do that because it's not for us. It's definitely not for us anymore.
Yeah, I guess like for me, like a lot of the dilemma is that I don't want to feel like I've given up, but I totally have. Like I've given up the fight. I've lost this fight. I can no longer fight for what I believe the IGF embodies and what it means anymore.
See, it was easy for me to give up because I already lost the IGF twice, so I'm good.
I guess it's like for me, I'm holding on to this. Like, well, it's a two-layered thing. Like, it pains me to have Phil Fish directly tell me that he voted against. Like, he straight up just told us oh yeah, I was one of the many people, according to him, that voted against Super Meat Boy because I knew you guys were going to be fine.
Yeah, that was great. Right after we lost, is Brian Crescente coming up to us and saying, "Oh, you guys didn't really need it," and I'm like, "Wow, my sugar is 330 right now, and I have $200 in the bank, and I'm just probably going to go home and cry." You're right, I'm fine. I didn't need
Jesus.
It was a weird thing. It's really weird, but for me, it's almost like whenever I hear something like that said, and when I hear somebody needs it, I have this like part of me, like the IGF has been this kind of vicious cycle. Like I've entered many times, I've won once, right? I've lost a lot, and every loss really stings and stays with you for a really long time. For the most part, you learn from whatever, but after a while, it just becomes this horrible thing. But I had this little fleeting, amount of happiness from the win, from my first win with Gish. And whenever I hear somebody say in the IGF, whenever I see it with my own eyes, because it's like one of those things where, when we lost with Super Meat Boy, and I wanted to be like, yeah, well, maybe it's not that good. I know there's some part of me that just wants to be humble about it and not say, because you seem weird. It's like, I should have won. Blah blah blah. I should have won, and it just sounds horrible. But there's a part of me that, like, whenever I hear somebody say that, it's like it justifies these little thoughts in my head about the Super Meat Boy loss.
Yeah.
But worse for me, it removes any of the positive feelings I had from winning the one time I did. Like, I really now, after this year, feel like I never won anything. That it was a pity party. That I did not deserve that. That should have gone to Alien Hominid, the game that, like, really revolutionized what indie games were to everybody's minds. It was the first game that had the balls to go console. Like, they just did so much, and it was made by one of the most innovative developers of his time. And I not only just took it from him, but it didn't mean anything to me. It didn't matter. And I bought my wife's wedding ring with the money, and lived off whatever for 2 years or whatever off of whatever was left over. It was a small one then, but it was also split 3 ways. Yeah. But it was just like, it's just so many things are removed.
Whenever you lose anything, your brain always wants to in some way justify it to you, and you always look for a reason why you lost. Like if you lose the basketball game, oh, their defense was better. You don't have people coming up to you after the game and saying, yeah, I kept clicking the +1 score on the other guys because the one kid's brother is in a wheelchair. Like that doesn't help. That doesn't help you. It doesn't help you grow, and it doesn't help you justify your loss to yourself. Because when you go into the IGF, you're like, oh, my game is great. And you always want to be like, the way you try to justify it in the IGF when you lose is like, I lost to a better game. Like when Goo lost to World of Goo, I'm like, yeah, I definitely lost to a better game. Still stung, but that doesn't sting nearly as much as, hey, Meat Boy lost, and people were telling me because, oh, it's not because it was the better game, it's because you're going to be okay. And like what that does is that just creates a hole. It just creates a hole there where you never. I mean, I'll say I'm not over that loss, even with all of and that may sound crazy to some people, but the stress associated with something like the IGF, and I don't know if it's worse for me because I'm a diabetic, and like it destroyed me. Like I was shaky. I was like, as we were sitting there at the award ceremony, I'm like, my hand is shaking. Like I feel like my blood sugar is like crashing. So I like shotgun a Pepsi so I don't like pass out. And like all of the stress and everything like that there were two pieces of Meat Boy development that were stress and nearly broke me. The first one was the loss from the IGF, and that seriously nearly broke me to the point where I just felt shitty. I actually don't remember a lot after that. And it's funny because I found an old memory card with videos that Ed and I made, like while I was, because I stayed there for, I think it was like 2 or 3 months. I stayed there, and it was, I stayed with Ed, and we were just making the game, and we were goofing off, having fun. I don't remember any of that. Like, I have vague memories of playing Pokemon Heart Gold, and that's it. Like, just these little flashes, like in horror movies, when you just get these little pieces of like the killer, like assembling something in his garage. Like, I just have little pieces of that, and it's like, yeah, like if Brian Crescente coming up and saying, "Oh, you didn't need it," that doesn't help. Like if Brian Crescente would have come up and said, "Hey, tough break, but Monaco was amazing," we didn't have one person come up to us and say, you know what, tough break, Monaco's amazing. No one said that to us. So it's just kind of being kicked when you're down. But yeah.
What made it worse too, Tommy, if you remember, why it was so high for us was that our producer at Microsoft told us how incredibly important it was that we win something. We were up for 3 awards, and he's like, no, I don't want to say it, but it would be really, really big for you guys, and it would help me push the game to more people, because at that point in time, Meat Boy wasn't selling well with people internally.
No, it was still a huge struggle.
It was always an uphill battle with every aspect of development. When it came to convincing the other people at Microsoft that it was a good idea to back this game in any way, shape, or form, and they always told us enter as many awards, play anything you could win,
anything to bring attention to the game.
Yeah, do that. And then it was just, we even had meetings with, so there was the off award. I don't remember what it was. It was one of the other random awards that was there, and we had a little mini meeting because I guess they wanted to interview all the different people that they might consider for the award. This guy told us almost
that was the direct to drive.
Yeah, that he said that we're it's gonna happen. Don't even worry about it. And then it went to Max and Magic Marker or something. And then after the fact, we're like, hey, what's going on? You told us that it was basically gonna happen. And he's like, it's politics. And that was the end of that. It sounds really weird. I hate talking about this stuff because this is something that me and Tommy talk about. This is not a public thing really, but it's because it's hard to talk about complaining about losing an award. And
especially because it doesn't put it into it doesn't help put it in perspective, because just about everybody that knows us has seen the movie and they know how successful the game is. Mm-hmm. And and we just sound like whiny bitches, and it sucks, but okay, the game came out and it sold really, really well, and everybody loves it, and blah, blah, blah. That's all fine and dandy. That was still something that happened in the past that still stung quite a bit. No amount of money or success or anything covers up wounds. Wounds still have to take time to heal. You can't just... I can't take that hole and stuff it full of $100 bills and all of a sudden just be fine with everything. It doesn't
and you're
work.
You're touching on a larger issue with what you perceive in the IGF as a whole, anyway. That extends beyond what just happened to you guys.
Yeah,
the voting method.
The last 2 years were good. I mean, as far as what went to grand prize, I'll tell you this: there was a big argument about Minecraft that I was on the side of. Are you fucking kidding me, people? It's the best. It's the indie game of the year. Are you kidding me? I don't remember what it was up against.
That was the first year that I heard the term hive mind. And everybody was saying that Minecraft wasn't, the people against it was Minecraft wasn't good.
Oh my god.
And that's what you hear a lot of this year. It's
actually got so popular that the indie crowd became the indie cliche of it's so popular I can't like it anymore. Holy moly.
I feel weird about talking about any kind of IGF details, and I don't want to discourage anybody who's whatever. But for me, there was a really clear favorite game of this year of the games that are in the IGF for me that I couldn't stop playing and loved. And it just seems like, I don't know, I'm on shaky ground here, but it doesn't fucking matter. I'm not going to be in the IGF anymore. I like Hotline Miami a lot. A great deal.
Yeah.
I think that game is amazing. From what I've heard, Cactus is far too popular and successful.
You have a problem when Cactus is too mainstream. Come on.
I don't understand. It's a different world, and I've given up.
And it ties into this.
This is why there's old, cantankerous old men who just get off my lawn. I've become that now, and I've been forced into it. I blame everyone else.
Their kids kept stepping on your lawn. I feel you.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing for me that I felt that sort of fueled my guilt even further was when you become a judge, you get the option to basically just seek out any game that's been submitted and then play it and check it out and stuff like that. And naturally, you kind of tend to go for the games that have the best marketing behind them because you've heard of them, like, oh, Super Time Force, ooh, Hotline Miami, and all that kind of stuff. And then the ones that are actually, like, really don't have any marketing behind them at all and are really good, like, nobody seems to go for. You have to, like, actively try to bring people in. So it's like, I'm of the same opinion you guys that should be about, quality over, like, doing favors for people and making sure that somebody gets their due. But at the same time, there's this, like, the ideal shining knight of an IGF judge in my mind is the guy that goes through every single one and goes, I'm going to find the gems in the rough and talk to everybody and get them to be excited about them too. And it's like, that totally never happens. Like, I think
this year wasn't bad. I'll say that there were a lot of people this year that seemed to play a lot of games, and there were a lot of games I'd never ever heard of that were actually I give the credit to Matthew Wegner for that, because he had this really awesome the new IGF judging system where you could actually see what people were favoriting and how many people were favoriting it. And if you see that there's this random game you've never heard of, it's got like 3 or 4 favorites, then you want to check it out. And you can kind of see how not only, and you could tag games too and see if other people are talking about them, kind of get good responses and stuff like that. There's definitely games can still slip through the cracks, but
that shit is what keeps me up at night, is the ones that slip through. I'm sure this is way better than it's ever been, but I just at the end of the day I still felt like, oh fuck.
But you know what? Those games that slip through the crack, they're not slipping through the cracks anymore. This isn't 2000.
Right.
Right. That game that could slip through the crack. What they'll do is somebody will play it, somebody will like it, and it will get on Steam if it's a good game, and then it will sell. Like that, the idea that the IGF can make or break you is false. Like, and case in point, Super Meat Boy. There's not one IGF award behind us, and there's so many other games that are exactly like that.
That was another painful thing. Remember, Tommy, the year after we lost, they kept using Super Meat Boy as one of the games that the IGF...
we actually had them. We put a stop to that.
Yeah, we're like, we didn't win anything. Like, you're putting us... It's like Super Meat Boy. It's like games like Super Meat Boy... I don't know.
Yeah, it was like games like Super Meat Boy and Monaco and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we didn't win, so you're not going to use us to promote your shit.
It was weird.
But yeah, it doesn't... Yeah, so those games, and that is like a worry. And yeah, like the new interface, like I'm not a judge this year, but I've seen the interface because I'm friends with Matthew. But that idea that stuff's going to fall through the crack, yeah, it might not get a nomination, but I truly and thoroughly believe that a good game will come out and people will like it, and people.
Yeah, that's actually a question I get on Forum Spring. People will say like, you play a lot of indie games. Can you recommend some that you don't feel like get enough credit? And it's like, no.
Yeah,
like,
I had that question too.
Quite literally, all the games that are great, anything worth playing, like usually just this is the internet. Like this is what it's about. It's about like once you find something that's really awesome, everybody knows about it.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I've never played a game where like nobody liked it and nobody played it at all, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. It's never ever happened.
Yeah, that was the exact question I got. It was, what indie games do you feel should be more popular than they are? And I said none, because there's none that's just like, oh man, this is just not getting a fair break. Like
I think Spelunky should be much bigger than it is.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
I also think Spelunky should have won the IGF.
I believe that too.
But who am I? Fuck me.
You're nobody. You're a dick.
I have a feeling it'll do really well though on PC. Like I'm personally waiting for it on PC just so I can play it a little. I'm that lazy that I don't want to have to go out and turn on the Xbox.
Turning on an Xbox sucks.
So
I'm just fucking desperate for online co-op or deathmatch on the PC. If I can get that, I can die
so
happy.
Fun in that game.
Oh my god.
I think Spelunky will do a lot better on Steam, because I think there's a large barrier of entry for Spelunky, and it's very, very hard. Like the average Xbox player doesn't have that much of a attention span. Like they need.
Is that what you guys have kind of found with Meat Boy? Because your game would conceive, well, maybe not a huge barrier entry because it's got a really good difficulty curve to it, but like it's certainly the
it's
magic
way more
of it.
popular on Steam. I think it's almost. Well, no, actually, what is it? It's 5-1.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, about 5-1.
Yeah, that's one of the things about the end of the movie that we asked them, can you clear it up at all and say, like, you know, that at that point in time it was like 70, you know, yeah, like 70% of this is on Steam. Can you say that in any way? Because you're kind of giving a lot of credit to what people perceive as a Microsoft win, and they're like, we couldn't eloquently put that in a way that would.
It's too much to read, and they were
too
right.
much to read, and the number just didn't. It just diminished whatever they wanted to end it, so they couldn't really do that. But that was like the thing. I think whenever we do Q&As for the movie, we always say, like, just so you know, that like great majority of that was all Steam. It was all the PC release.
Interesting. Wow.
Which is interesting too, because you need a controller to really play that game.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's crazy. It just kind of shows you. And I mean, yeah, Steam sales are a big part of that, but just raw units, I mean, it's way more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a real hardcore contingent on Steam. I mean, I know a bunch of people who have Dark Souls. They, for some reason, just rebought Dark Souls on Steam and all have controller, because that you have to have a controller to play Dark Souls on PC. It's effectively unplayable if you try mouse and keyboard, and people are more than happy to do it. It's really encouraging.
PCs are. Everyone thank Valve for reviving PC market.
It's true.
Everyone thank Valve for the future of video games. Just right now, go ahead and pay homage. It's cool. It's not an overbearing thing. You can worship Valve. They're worth it.
So
God.
We've been podcasting for a little while, so maybe we should go to listener questions and wrap it up after that. Salah wants to know how often you guys get recognized on the street, and if you have any stories to go with it.
I'll go first.
You go first.
Once it came out on Netflix, it became a semi-common occurrence. I'd say, like, depending on how much I'm getting out, at least once a week, someone will stop me and Danielle while we're walking around.
Wow.
There have been weird ones. The weirdest is I don't know how to respond, and it's not something that, like, I don't have a thing I say. I just don't know what to say. Like, somebody will say, "Oh, weird. I was just watching you in a documentary," and then I don't know what to say, and my response was, "That's weird." I think, oh my God, I'm like coming off like an asshole, and I don't, because this guy's looking at me like, what is that to say? It's like I don't have anything else. Like, that's really odd. Like, that's really odd, and I don't know what to say. Oh, they'll say something like, "That movie was really good," and I'm like, well, I can't say thank you because I didn't make the movie, and like. And I don't know how to, like, take a compliment about the movie because I didn't make the movie, and I'm just in the movie, and like I'm totally cool with somebody saying, like, "I liked your game," or "I thought your game was cool," or whatever. I'll be like, "Oh, thanks." But if somebody says it about the movie, I just don't know how to respond, and then I'm always worried that I'm just going to come off like a huge asshole. But my one story, which was odd, I was in the mall getting pizza, and this guy was kind of standing behind me. And he looked really strange. Like, he looked like somebody who you might murder you. Like, and he was just awkwardly standing too close. And then he came up to me and he asked me if I was Edmund McMillen. And he said it in this really shaky, like, voice. And I'm like, yes. And he, like, put out his hand and he was, like, just visibly shaking. His whole body was shaking.
Wow.
And I just want to shake your hand. And I'm like, oh, and I just didn't know how to react, but it just seemed astounding that anybody would be even the slightest bit nervous or anything. It just seemed like, yeah, very odd, very, very, very weird. Still weird.
What's even more strange is the people that recognize you, and then you find out through. Well, like, I found out through Twitter a few times that someone has recognized me and not come up to say anything. Because they'll be like, "Hey, I think I just saw Tommy on my flight." I'm like, yeah, I was on a flight to Seattle. "Oh, yeah, I saw you." "Oh, okay." Then I was eating breakfast once, and this I get this tweet when I come back home, and it's like, "Hey, Pancake House, nice choice."
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to hire guards now.
Oh, there was a,
It's always weird because it always takes you by surprise. I was in Best Buy back home in like Podunk, Hendersonville, North Carolina, and I'm like looking at Wii U's with my mom to get my sister for Christmas, and this guy comes up and he's like, "Can I shake your hand?" I'm like, all right. And he's like, it was just amazing watching you in that movie. A really awkward kind of like, he definitely, so mom told me, because she was watching him out of the corner of the eye, and she's like, oh, I guess he had been sort of like stalking behind us for a little while. And like, this guy like mustered up all this nerve and this courage just to come over and like say hi. And then to me, it's always surprising. And I'm like, oh, hey, that's cool. I'm glad you like the game. Glad you like the movie. I'm gonna go buy this now.
It's weird too because they're basically like complimenting you on your life.
Yeah, that's odd.
They're saying like you did good in your decisions about money and your overall happiness.
Which I guess is good.
Yeah,
it's actually the best kind of compliment you can get, but that's super fucking odd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys must have that too.
I mean,
where
yes and
people,
no. Like
recognize you.
Yeah, but
it's for a different reason. It's like we do videos online, and so it's like, oh, that funny thing that you did is cool.
Yeah, they're not saying like I like
the most
your
visible thing that you guys have done is Indie Game the movie. So it's a different sort of interaction, I guess. Because yeah, like Anthony said, it's like here
bombarded at like PAX and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. People come up.
But it's a nice regularly. It's a nice ego boost. I mean, if if the people are nice.
And most everyone is.
It's not so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, only a few of them have been dicks, and usually it's not intentional. There was a guy who came up and wanted me to like try out his iPhone game he was working on. I was like, yeah, sure. And he goes, he was like, do you guys have a DVD? Or he said, I can't remember how it came up, but he's like, whoa, you guys sell DVDs? How many could you possibly sell? Like, who would want to buy the thing that you do? That doesn't really happen, right? And I was like, and I straight up said like, I mean, yeah, he wasn't wrong, but I was still like, you're kind of being a dick right now, just FYI. And he go, oh no, and like freaked out because it didn't never occur to him that he was being a dick, but.
Right.
But that's how nerds are,
Yeah, Asperger's, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, though there was a time where I found, it was either a tweet or something, where it was a picture of my old apartment, and it was just like, I'm pretty sure Edmund McMillen lives here. And I was like,
Jesus.
oh, that's kind of creepy. And then there was
shit.
one, then there was one like a few days later, and it was a picture of my mailbox.
Your current mailbox?
and they said like I'm something about like mustering up the courage to like come up and knock on the door or something, and I'm just envisioning like that scene from Lost Highway where there's like the VHS tape on the doorstep, and the guy puts it in, and it's a video of somebody walking up to the door, opening the door, and then wandering into the room, and then you're sleeping. Like,
Oh God.
But by that time, I think we were already out of there. But all there was Meat Boy stickers all over where at that old apartment.
Right.
Oh, mailbox, yeah.
Oh man, that's we've never gotten that yet, thankfully.
No, we've been pretty lucky about that.
No pictures of our places of residence, thankfully.
Which is, I guess, weird just because all of our shit is already. We basically film all of our stuff at a place where we lived or where Dad currently lives. So it's like if they wanted to find us, it wouldn't be that hard.
They're already in the house.
Yeah, the call's coming from inside the house.
That's just watching shitty Bollywood movies with them right now.
I'm gonna die the way I lived.
Luke Noodles wants to know, what can we expect from Eugenics gameplay-wise atmosphere? Will it be on such systems as the Wii U or 3DS? I don't know how much you can talk about this, so if you can at all, then we can just move on. But should we move on?
It is a game about cats.
There you go.
And I wouldn't hold your breath for consoles.
Nice.
Cool. Let's see. Steven Milicia says, was there any level that almost didn't make it into Super Meat Boy due to too much difficulty or any other type of reason? I'm assuming yes. I'm assuming that just happens in any game.
there wasn't any level that I cut, but there was always levels that I edited because of difficulty. Of course, the biggest one was the kid levels, especially the first and second kid levels had the most editing as far as making it easier because I had to. We recently saw this playthrough of Super Meat Boy, and I don't know what the record time was. It was actually like 100% playthrough within 3 or 4 hours, or
Holy
maybe
smokes!
I don't know what, but it was.
Wasn't it like an hour 53? Wasn't it?
What?
It was sub 2 hours for 106%.
Yeah, that's insane.
Which
So
is,
there was a
Jesus.
point in time where when Tommy was in hell, all I had to do was playtest. So every day for like about a week, I think it was 8 days. Every single day, I would 100% the game or 106% the game, and it took me around 8 hours each time to do it, and it was hellish. And the one time, the one point of the game where I would always hit a wall was the kid warp zone, and I actually made it easier so I could do it. But that was the only level in the game I think that I made easier.
Nice.
I'm almost like my heart is actually beating a little bit faster thinking of that level being harder.
It was just harder in the most annoying ways. It was annoying.
Let's see. Moe's Skididikui asks, probably too late, but was Binding of Isaac based on something real in Edmund's life?
Well, it was based on my experience with religion when I was little. I mean, the whole thing was kind of based around how I mean, it was kind of like when I usually start something and I've got a basic theme in mind, and once we get off Skype here, I'm actually going to be Skyping with Tommy about something that I realized with eugenics when it comes to the theme of the game. But with Binding of Isaac, it was like, okay, I want to make this game. It's a roguelike, and I want it to be based around Legend of Zelda's structure of dungeons, and I also wanted to somehow like complement what I felt the Legend of Zelda embodied in its theme, and I felt like The Legend of Zelda was about like a kid exploring by himself in his imagination and like discovering things under rocks and stuff like that, and burning a bush and then finding a dungeon underneath it or whatever. And so I thought, well, I'll like put it in the perspective of like kind of me when I was little, like a creative kid, and for me there was like a darkness there that was kind of based around religion and the fact that I had two sides of my family that were extremely religious. One was Catholic and one was born again Christian. They were all in like AA and stuff. Some of them were like on the McMillen side. We actually had missionaries on that side, so it was pretty extreme. And many occasions I would go over and my magic cards or D&D stuff would be taken away because it was evil, and I got sat down. Got the long-winded explanation of why I'd be going to hell if I did this, this, and this, and some other really bizarre, creepy stuff. And there was a lot of like bad stuff that went on, not as much to me as to them. Growing up, that kind of course, geared them into this extreme religion, which happens. And I wanted to kind of write a game about my experience with religion as a kid and how it might have affected me creatively, because of course, originally going in, it was kind of like my angry letter to religion. This is how you fucked me over and made me feel like I was a complete outcast in the world. But then, as I'm doing it, I'm starting to realize, like the creativity in the Bible and like all the crazy fire and brimstone stuff. That's what I feel gave me this edge when it came to creativity. Like that's what made me obsessed with all this stuff. Like all the themes and almost everything I do is grounded in the fact that I experienced the blood and gore of religion, of Christianity, at a very young, impressionable age. And I've got to give credit to it. So it was kind of like this experience that I kind of went down. Like I got to realize these different things that I had experienced as a kid and kind of made me who I was. And of course, it's not a literal thing in the slightest, but it was based on a lot of things that I had heard and a lot of weird stuff and a lot of the fanaticism, like the 80s Christian uprising anti D&D, and there was a lot of Christian extremism in the media in the 80s. You know, MTV was sending kids to hell. Rock music was going to make you kill yourself, and so on and so forth. And
Right.
this bizarre fixation on all that stuff, and that came through.
Awesome. Well, we're at an hour, guys. Should we call it?
I could go all night.
All night.
I wanted to ask something. I'm trying to find a way, because it's based out of my own insecurity, and I'm trying to make it not sound dickish. But, like, how much do you guys worry that you have, because this is what I worry about. Again, this is not a reflection on what I think your guys' games are like, because I love your guys' games, and I think your best game hasn't been made yet. But how do you deal with the, like, stress of, like, oh shit, what if that was it? Like, what if I peaked with the first goddamn thing, they got a huge following behind it, you know? Like, do you guys think that at all? Is that just me? Like, because that's basically the way I feel about Borderlands 2 right now. Is that, like, some people found it funny, and I'm just like, fuck.
We've talked about all this sort of stuff. Like, it's... In a lot of ways, I think both me and Tommy have the ability to just say, I don't care.
That's awesome.
Like whatever. Like, fuck it all. And me, I kind of have this impulse to, like... Because in all honesty, like, The Binding of Isaac was a fuck you. Like, fuck you, I'll do what I want, and no one's gonna like this. I didn't think it was gonna do well. I didn't think that many people were gonna like it. And when you look on paper with Mugenics, and I know nobody knows exactly what it's about now, but, like, I look at the design, and me and Tommy talk about this a lot, like, it seems... I'm worried that it's going to come out, and, of course, that, you know, not many people are going to like it, or it's going to come out and it's just... Because it seems like one of those things, like, on paper, you show anybody we tell about it, they're like, oh my god, this game's going to be huge, this is going to be great, and I'm thinking, like, yeah, but, like, the way I'm doing it, the way we're gearing this thing, it's like we're going down all the wrong ways to do this. Like, we're making something that seems like it would be an almost casual experience that everybody in the world would love, but we're putting shit all over it, and we're making things fuck, and we're just doing all the wrong things. Like, we're doing all the incorrect things, and it's purely because we think that's funny, and that's how we experience cats. Like, me and Tommy have had lots of cats growing up. We love cats, and cats do fucking gross shit, and they do whatever they want. Like, and,
Cats throw up.
Yeah, it's just a reality. Cats will throw up, and then they'll forget it's barf, and then they'll eat it again. You know, it's a reality. Cats will, if they're hungry enough, they will eat another dead cat. It's
true. If they're hungry enough and you're dead, they'll eat you.
Yeah. So it's like when we're working on eugenics, it's, and I think a lot of cat owners can. I think a lot of cat owners will like it, because if you're a cat owner, you got to be realistic. You see little assholes, like literal assholes, in your face all day. Cat assholes everywhere. Like, that's a haunting thing.
Brown starfish.
Yeah, you get used to it. But
You really do.
I think with everything that I've worked on and everything we'll work on, there's always a bit of worry of, like, uh-oh, are we going too far? I think that's more the worry for me, is like, am I pushing this too far? Because I want to push it, because I feel like it's my job. Like, I feel like it's my job to push it as far as it'll go. And I got to tell you, like, with another secret project that we're working on, I'm like, oh, we're going way too far. This is too far here, and I'm starting to see boundaries, and I'm starting to get worried. But that's usually my worry. It's like, you know, if the game bombs and everything, that would suck. But I just need to do it. Like, I'm not a functional person unless I'm creating stuff. Like, I'm a miserable, horrible human being who hates himself unless I'm creating.
Anthony, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh yeah, so you feeling like that is totally normal. Once you get to 30, you'll feel better.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yay!
But it'll get worse.
It'll get
It's
worse.
gonna get worse,
Okay.
and then it'll get better.
Around 27 is when it's really bad, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? hate my life,
Mm.
and then you'll just like bear down hard, and then you'll give birth to this new 30-year-old version of yourself. It just takes 3 years of bearing down.
Oh, that's good to know.
And it's exactly 3 years.
Exactly 3 years.
And it will happen when you're exactly 27.
Yeah.
These are the rules.
know.
You guys, the stream keeps crapping out. Like it's crapped out like a bunch of times in the past couple minutes.
Well, I still got the MX Skype recorder going, so we still have the audio cleanly. It'll still go up on the
Okay, good.
website normally.
Okay, cool.
I'd love to be able to. I do feel like the majority, like the first 30+ minutes of us complaining about the IGF, comes off so bad.
Yeah, it's hard.
We can get rid of it if you want. I can edit it out.
No, it's not good to edit it out. It's just, I think maybe now we can let it die.
Yeah.
Maybe now we've said our piece, and we can move on from it, and we can turn on our gun and badge that they give you when you're an IGF judge, and we just retire, and we leave it behind.
I think you guys might really be serious that you're not going to sign up as judges next year.
I didn't this year.
Yeah, Tommy already did it. I was the stupid one.
Oh, God. I should have.
Yeah, I even told him. I'm like, do you really want to go through this shit again?
It's some sort of for me.
It gives me something to talk about.
He's just doing it to punish me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things too.
Oh God, we're getting back into it.
It's no.
We're falling in.
I'm talking about
Give me my gun and badge back. I want to shoot some innocent people.
the perspective of like in the movie Tommy, where everybody gives you shit because you said that like Halo and
God, I wish I could have been, because now I come off as cocky. Would you consider me a cocky person?
No, you're not at all a cocky person. No,
I'm nice.
I'm nice. Tommy, I'm nice.
I'm nice, but no, I say something and it gets in the movie, and because it's the first line and it's the first introduction to my character, what an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that fucks it up though is much like how I'm worried that the beginning of this podcast we come off like total dicks, because it seems like it's a perspective thing. Like when the Tommy who was saying that Halo sucks, Halo Reach sucks, and he wouldn't want to work on a game like that, or whatever you said in the movie, was the Tommy that was struggling to pay rent and make ends and try to finish. That was the Tommy with
negative $600 in the bank.
Yeah, it's like, but for everybody else, it's the Tommy that is at the end of the movie. And if you look at it like that, you come off like this cocky guy, but really it was almost like you were trying to boost your confidence. And like,
it doesn't. Yeah, they can't even, like, the people that criticize that, and it's granted it's not a lot, but it's still, they can't see that I didn't care in the movie about the sales that much. Like, the only thing that made me smile wasn't you telling me, hey, we sold 20,000 units and that's X more than Braid. It was watching people play the game. Like, that's the only time I smiled that entire day. But no, that gets glazed over because I'm a fucking asshole that said that their team sucks. And for the record, I do still think those games are shit. But it's not that I don't think the work and the love that were put into them are shit. In fact, the house that I bought is the guy that used to own it is he did all the sky art in Halo. And the sky art in Halo is nice. I still don't like the game.
Did it come
maybe because I can't play the game. I'm not good at it.
I don't think you guys came off as that bad to like smart people.
I
mean,
over, Anthony. You're an idiot if you do not like us.
Well, I mean, if I see that what I came away from having watched that movie was like, wow, these guys are really passionate and really intense.
Yeah.
Not like this dude who clearly is like terrified for a good 90% of the movie about whether or not he's going to be able to eat, and if he wasted the last 5 years of his life or whatever. I don't come out of that movie thinking this guy thinks he's the hottest shit on the planet Earth, and that basically he's like a gangster rapper with a keyboard. Like, that is the most inane thing you could possibly draw.
Baseball hats that doesn't have the bent bill, and
Yeah.
I wear that to the side, and I have headphones on. I walk down the street, and I push old women out of the way.
Exactly, yeah.
I thought you both were very endearing in it.
Yeah.
I came out being like, Edmund and Tommy, those guys.
Yeah.
Those are some nice guys.
Of
That's
your
like
choices
what I-
of like protagonists to root for, you guys I think engender the most sympathy. You are the
Yeah,
heroes of
for
that
sure.
movie, whether you
I
want.
heard the most stuff about Phil, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the complaints about like, oh, this guy's a dick, were never aimed at you. Is when I heard them about somebody being in that film. It was always, wow, Phil's kind of a turd.
Poor Phil.
It's one of those things that I think perspective-wise, where if like
Right.
I tell Tommy this too. I tell Tommy like, people love you in the movie, but Tommy still just sees the negative things that are said about him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I actually I've been at the point for a while where I actually don't like the movie. Not that like
Really?
I don't like the work or anything, and I hate like James and Leigh because I don't. I love them both dearly, but yeah, I don't like that being, because that like anybody in the world, like take one of the most stressful times ever and record yourself and then show it to the entire world, and then wonder if maybe that was a mistake.
Right.
Like
Right.
I don't like that, because I don't think it shows. I don't think it shows that like I'm not this crazy person that literally obsesses over my work to the point where I don't eat or sleep. Like, I don't eat or sleep. I didn't eat or sleep back then because I couldn't, because I had to get stuff done because there was so much writing on it. I'm not Asperger's crazy, and I'm not like somebody that hates all of humanity. I dislike a great number of people, but I'm not just running around the street pricking people with pens. I'm not doing that. But it kind of comes off sometimes that maybe this is the type of crazy person that would do these things. Because look at him. He hasn't shaved his head, and he probably should. Look at his beard. Look at his nose hair.
Look at his nose hair. Look at those feet.
Look at his feet.
Those weird emu feet.
Oh my god, they were like talons.
Yeah, it's gross.
Did I come off like an asshole?
No,
No.
you're like, you and Ed are like
No
the
way,
sweetest
what are you-
Yeah, you guys came off like the sweetest couple in the
Sweetest
world.
Yeah,
I
it's
know,
just the
I know, I'm
cutest
the best.
Stick around in the back.
It's really hard to beat
Always
like.
raining, and I'm crying.
What?
That's all my scenes. It's raining and I'm crying. And you're
No.
like balloons and fireworks, and you guys are picking
It was
flowers.
such an illusion, though, because and all it is, and it is just it's another perspective deal where people just simply don't know what's going on. Like, and it's also just luck where they caught you at certain times and
They
caught me at
caught me
certain
at
times.
the worst times.
They really did, because like so what they didn't catch was every time
Okay,
if Tommy's down, let me do this one.
Okay.
If Tommy's down and Tommy's like, oh shit, I don't know, man, I don't know if this is worth it. Tommy used to, the most crushing thing Tommy would ever say was, I don't think I want to make games anymore. And I was just like, oh my god, I got Tommy, I did this to him. Like, I did this to my best friend. And it's like, oh my god, and I'm telling him, no, everything's gonna be okay, and I'm trying to put the biggest smile on my face as I possibly can and put on a show. And then right after I get off Skype, when I elevate him enough to feel okay with knowing he's gonna go to sleep feeling somewhat hopeful, I am fucking gonna kill myself in that bedroom. I'm laying in bed telling Danielle, oh my god, not only have I failed everyone. I failed all of our parents that think that we're gonna be able to like move out of this shitty ass apartment. Like, I've crushed Tommy. He has nothing. He's being called by like debt people, like credit card
Actually,
people.
I kind of missed that.
Yeah.
That literally was my only social interaction, was arguing with American Express over how I'm supposed to pay when I have no money. Well, can't you borrow it from your parents? No, they don't have any money either. Like, if they had money, I would have money, but no.
But yeah, the end of every night was me just unloading on Danielle, who then had to lift me up enough in order for me to sleep. Like,
And then 3 days before the game came out, I had this crazy case of TMJ out of nowhere, and I couldn't open my mouth.
Oh no!
Oh my
Yeah, that
god.
was awesome.
It was so awful.
But, okay,
It was so much worse than
Have you
anything
guys-
else in the movie.
Have you guys seen I think it's Hearts of Darkness?
Yeah.
I could have made that. Why did I not make a companion piece to Endgame the movie of Ed laying in bed with me having to talk him off the ledge every night?
It was
Oh my
bad.
God.
There were many points where I was like, this is like, it's one thing to be one person doing it, but I just could not live with the guilt of like, what if this bombed and Tommy's just been ravaged by it, and like because at that point Tommy was single as well, and it's just like I just couldn't do this. Like this just was
Right.
It was insane. And but for me, when things get really bad, and then for Tommy as well, we're both like this. When things get really, really bad, we tend to joke about it, like constantly. And we would joke about how could Microsoft fuck us over, like laughing. Oh, well, they could like just not even put our game up on the day. They could cut this, cut that. They could do this, and all those things happened.
Well, and then it was hilarious when they actually.
Yeah, and
happened.
we would laugh. We would laugh about it. It was so horrible. It was like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, we'll just go down in flames. Who cares? Like, it was just laughably awful. So a lot of the times in the movie where I look like I'm happy, I'm like sarcastically joking about how horrible things are. Like I'm laughing
Right.
at how bad it is because it seems just. I was also delirious. Like me and Tommy were just totally delirious. Like we were getting at the most 5 hours sleep for like almost 2 months straight, like nonstop. It
wasn't good healthy sleep. I know for me at least it was. So the last month of development was bug fixing. This is a process that normally takes. Microsoft tells you to allow 4 months for testing, certification, basically getting everything done. I had to do it in a month all by myself.
Jesus Christ.
And I did. And it was actually one of the fastest games to ever come out. Like from
Microsoft did say that. They were like
from first submission to gold, or what did they call it? Like
Goldmaster? Wasn't that what
I
it
think
was?
it was code. I don't know, whatever it was. But from certified from alpha to certified, it was a month. And so my life consisted of waking up and then doing bug fixes and then going to sleep. But sleep was always like fever sleep, where I would fix bugs in my sleep. So I would never actually rest. I would literally just sort of close my eyes for a little bit, and my brain would just keep going and going and going. And then I'd wake up in the morning, and it would be more bug fixing, go back to bed. And there was no real sleep. My parents were bringing me dinners at that time because I didn't have any money and I didn't have time to cook anything. So what they would do is they would come over, and when they would come over, I would usually stop. There were quite a few times where I wouldn't stop, and I wouldn't even really recognize that they were there. And I would just continue working through them, preparing everything, and then leaving it for me. But a lot of the times I would just lay on the floor, and in between the time that they walked in the door and got the food ready, which was basically throw it in the oven for 10 minutes and heat it up, that's when I got my best sleep. Because it was a time when my brain could go, okay, we can shut off for just a little bit. So
they caught that in the movie. There's a part in the movie where Tommy falls asleep while I'm talking.
Oh yeah, I just fell asleep.
That was like an incredibly common occurrence. Well, if Tommy said, "All right, I'm going to lay down on the floor," I knew that he was going to just nod off at some point. He was just going to.
Wow.
Jesus. There's a thing that we were not allowed to talk about that was like the worst possible thing that could have ever happened to us with Microsoft experience. When that phone call happened, and I got it first, and after arguing and screaming and a lot of serious cussing back and forth on the phone with an unknown person, I was left with the dilemma of how the hell am I supposed to tell Tommy this?
Because I
actually called his mom first and said, "You need to go over to his house because he needs to be here. You need to be with him when I tell him this."
Oh man.
Yeah, and they showed up. Oh man, that was awful.
It was the worst day ever. But again, it was laughable because we joked about it.
Yeah, because I think we called it. We're like, you know what they're gonna do? And then sure enough.
Do you guys sort of look back on that now with like, oh, thank God that's definitely never going to happen again? Or is there still a fear in the back of your mind that like, nope.
That can never happen again. That
No,
will
that will
ever
never
happen again.
That's awesome.
Ever.
At the same time, and this is, I was actually talking to my sister about this the other day, because my sister's going through some pretty crazy medical stuff right now. And she's really down in the dumps, and it's really, really hard for her. And I was talking to her about it. I was telling her that this was, what she's going through now is, that's her Meat Boy. And she's like, well, it's not going to make me any money. I'm like, it's not about the money. It's about learning what you're capable of and what you can put yourself through and still come out. And I said, Meat Boy proved to me, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that it would take a lot to kill me. Like, it just in the amounts of stress. And I'm sure somebody could just pop me with a bullet and I would die. But, you know, if
one of your slaves would take the hit, they would jump
and,
in front of it.
Using my mind and, like, my mental stability and my ability to, like, focus, I don't have any doubts about that, because went through that and I came out fine. Like, you know, scarred, bitter, angry, but fine. And I'm still very functional. So I was trying to impart that to her, that it's like, you know, she will know her limits at the end of her treatments. And
it's like a marathon, right? It's like
yeah.
Pushing yourself to the limit. Like there is that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like looking back, I'm more proud of the fact that we survived and made it through it than completing the game, really.
Yeah.
Like we Iron Man that thing, and I mean, you're the champion of that. Like, not only did you do that, no one sees in the movie that all the stress that you went through, then you had to release a PC version right after.
Release a PC version a month later.
A month later, you got to do that. You got to release a PC version. Oh yeah, okay. No
yeah,
problem.
that was fun.
But I remember when that happened, you said that this is going to be nothing compared. You didn't complain nearly as much. It was just like, I've already done.
Yeah, no, it really was like I remember I got really upset once, and I like took a chair and I like pushed it down on the ground. That was the extent, and I did yell a couple times because it was a total clusterfuck. Because it was like, oh, the game comes out, oh, it doesn't run for anybody, oh, great. And then, but yeah, like after that, you know, it was no problem staying up for 3 days straight and submitting 17 patches in that time. No problem.
Awesome.
It was like a cakewalk.
He broke a lot of things then. No, he broke his glasses around the Xbox time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, I sat on the glasses. I broke keyboard.
Oh, the keyboard, yeah.
The Anger keyboard, because it was just this keyboard I had on my desk, and I didn't want to ruin my good one. So I needed some outlet, because don't have time to go to the gym, don't have time to run around the block, can't drink, can't smoke, like really can't even have like a donut because I'm diabetic. So I had to have some outlet. So Rage keyboard.
Yeah, Tommy's what you would call like an exploder.
Yeah.
Where it builds and builds, and then like there's a hole in the wall.
Yeah, there gets some holes in the wall. Not actually, there were no holes in the wall in Meat Boy. Yeah, that was more of a youth kind of.
Wait, no, wasn't there a hole in the wall with your rebound girlfriend off Meat Boy?
Was there a hole in the wall?
I'm pretty sure there was.
No, there was. No, what was that?
A door?
No, it was phone. It was always directed at my phone, and that's why I hate phones now. It's because I would always take, and she was so horrible, I would just get off the phone and just chuck the phone as hard as I could. And yeah, I got that under control now. I'm like the Hulk, but I'm not very strong.
Very mediocre Hulk.
You get all the downside of being the
Very
Hulk and
inefficient
literally
Hulk.
none of the upside.
Yeah.
It's astounding to me that you guys did that and had no, and were self-motivated enough to finish. It's just imagining, because there's no like infrastructure. It's not like you were going to lose a job or like, I mean, obviously there was a lot of personal pressure, but you would just, I guess you had invested enough to the point where there was no backing out.
My backup plan, because I never feel like I'm out of options. Like, because I know worst case, like if I never make another video game, I could get a job at some software company and make decent money. Like, I could still have a life.
You work on Halo.
What's that?
You could work on Halo.
Yeah, that actually my backup plan, honest to God, was I was going to go work for Epic.
Oh,
because
wow.
I was in North Carolina. I had contacts at Epic. And I had my job previous to that was porting the Unreal 2X to the 360, so I knew the engine. So it's like, I was like, all right, well, I go to Raleigh, there's all my friends, and I'll just kind of settle into that.
Wow.
And
Sure.
every girl there already has 3 kids by 19. Bam, instant family.
You could just skip to the end.
You go down to the Food Lion, pick yourself up a nice cashier, instant family.
Oh God.
I love
They
my.
all live on your plantation together. That's all I can think
My
of now.
plantation.
That's just where my mind keeps going back to. You
Is
guys
that
have been
all-
saying
yeah,
all this
every-
really interesting
every
stuff,
horrible
and I can
thing.
just not get that image out of my head.
Yeah.
Tommy sipping lemonade.
Sipping
This-
lemonade.
This
looking
cashier
after-
wife.
Colonel Sanders angrily grabbing a keyboard and smashing it against the wall.
Yeah, when the
Throwing an
help,
iPhone.
when the help does bad, I just slam the keyboard down and they run away scared.
Don't get my dand up now.
Yeah, don't make me get my keyboard now, son.
Oh my God.
This is
Plantation
like
owner
a-
voices. So much.
It's sad that they're connected to like one of the worst atrocities in the history of American history because
They're
they
so
have
funny.
a really funny voice.
I know.
Yeah, it's pretty. They ruin everything for us.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, so something of note is that I never actually turned off the recorder, so you got to let me know at what point you would like me to cut. I'm turning it off now.